Hi, I'm Hiromi Sugino, and I'm here to do the course project for Data Communications and Networking 4. I have chosen the Group 1 for this project, and the Group 1 titles are Point-to-Point Connections, Branch Connections, Access Control List. First, let's proceed to the first title, which is the Point-to-Point Connections. One of the most common types of WAN connections, especially in long distance communications, is a point to point connection, also called a serial or leased line connection. It is used to connect LANs to servers, provider WANs, and to connect LAN segment within an enterprise network. Understanding how point to point serial communication across a leased line works is important in an overall of how WANs function. These are the figures for point-to-point communication links and the serial point-to-point connection. When permanent dedicated connections are required, a point-to-point link is used to provide a single pre-established WAN communications path. It is usually more expensive than shared services. How to configure point-to-point protocol or PPP on a Cisco router. Before you actually configure PPP on a serial interface, we will look at the commands and the syntax of these commands as shown. This series of examples shows you how to configure PPP and some options. How to enable PPP on an interface. To set PPP as the encapsulation method used by a serial or ISDN interface, use the encapsulation PPP interface configuration command. The following enables The following example enables PPP encapsulation on serial interface 0-0-0. So R1 configuration terminal, and then interface serial 0-0-0, encapsulation PPP, just type encapsulation PPP, and then type end. The encapsulation PPP command has no arguments. However, you must first configure the router with an IP routing protocol, RIP, EIGRP, or OSPF to use PPP encapsulation. You should recall that if you do not configure PPP on a Cisco router, the default encapsulation for serial interfaces is HLDC. This is the example, a topology. Next, let's proceed to the next what they call it, title. It is the broadband connections. Broadband solutions provide teleworkers with high-speed connection options to business locations and to the internet. In this sample chapter from Connecting Networks V6 Companion Guide, identify branch connection options for small to medium-sized businesses, basic configuration for a PPPoE connection, and a client, router, and more. Broadband solutions provide teleworkers with high-speed connections option to business location and to the internet. Small branch offices can also connect using these same technologies. This chapter covers commonly used broadband solutions such as cable, DSL, and wireless. Teleworking is a broad term referring to conducting work by connecting to a workplace from a remote location with the assistance of telecommunications. ISPs value to the point-to-point protocol, which is the PPP, because of the authentication, accounting, and link management features. Customers appreciate the ease and availability of the Ethernet connection. Ethernet links do not natively support PPP. A solution to this problem was created, PPP over Ethernet. This chapter covers the implementation of PPP OE. So for let's continue. The security is a concern when using the public internet to conduct business. Virtual private networks or VPNs are used to improve the security of data across the internet. A VPN is used to create a private communication channel, also called tunnel, over a public network. Data can be secured by using encryption in this tunnel through the internet and by using authentication to protect data from unauthorized access. VPN technology provides security options for data running over these connections. This chapter describes some basic VPN implementations. So, VPNs rely on Internet Protocol Security or IPsec to provide security across the Internet. IPsec is beyond the scope of this course. Generic Routing Encapsulation or GRE is a tunneling protocol developed by Cisco that encapsulates a wide variety of protocol packet types inside IP tunnels. GRE creates a virtual point-to-point link to Cisco routers at remote points over an IP internetwork. The chapter covers the basic GRE implementation. The Border Gateway Protocol or BGP is routing protocol used between autonomous systems. This chapter concludes with a discussion of BGP routing and an implementation of BGP in a single home network. These are the new terms and commands for this title for this subject. For this title. Next is this. Okay, let's proceed to the next title, which is the last one, the access control list. It performs packet filtering to control the movements of packets through a network. Packet filtering provides security by limiting the access of traffic into a network, restricting user and device access to a network, and preventing traffic from leaving a network. IP access lists reduce the chance of spoofing and denial of service attacks and allow dynamic temporary user access through firewall. The IP name access control list feature gives network administrators the option of using names to identify their access list. This module describes IP name access lists and how to configure them. In the following configuration, an IP access list named branch offices is configured on Fast Ethernet interface 0-1-0 and applied to incoming packets. Networks other than the ones specified by the source address and mask pair cannot access Fast Ethernet interface 0-1-0. The destinations for packets coming from sources on network 172.16.7.0 are unrestricted. The destination for packets coming from sources on network 172.16.2.0 must be 172.31.5.4. As you can see, here is the example. So, let's proceed to the benefits of IP access list. Number 1, authenticate incoming RSH and RCP requests. It can simplify the identification of local users, remote hosts, and remote users in an authentication database that is configured to control access to a device. Number 2, block unwanted traffic or users. It can filter incoming or outgoing packets on an interface. Number 3, control access to VTY. Access list on an inbound VTY telnet can control who can access the lines to a device. Next, it can identify or classify traffic for QoS features. Access lists provide congestion avoidance by setting the IP precedence for weighted random early detection or WRED and committed access rate or CAR. Limit debug command output can limit debug output based on an IP address or a protocol. Next, it can provide bandwidth control. It can prevent excess traffic on a network. Next is it can provide NAT control. So access control list can control which addresses are translated by network address translation. Next, it can reduce the chance of DOS attacks. It reduces the chance of denial of service attacks. Specify IP source addresses to control traffic from host networks or users from accessing your network. And last, it can trigger dial on demand calls. Access list can enforce dial and disconnect criteria. For the configuration examples for an IP name access control list, here is the configuration. And this is the end of my course project. Thank you very much for watching.